Three, two, one.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Cream City Cast, CreamCityCentral.com's weekly podcast discussing the latest Milwaukee Bucks takes and giving you the latest on what's going on in the beautiful city of Milwaukee. Our podcast is brought to you by our good friends over at ShepherdExpress.com. I'm Andrew Goodman, co-hosting as always today with CreamCityCentral.com's own Dylan Piccolo. Thanks for joining me, Dylan.
Appreciate it, my man. Happy to be here. A little up and down week for the Bucks, but we're here, so we're the most consistent thing going on right now.
Yeah, you can say that again. So, Dylan, who's your Bucks MVP of the week? As you said, it's another bipolar week for the Milwaukee Bucks, but there were some few bright spots for sure.
In one of the most bipolar weeks of the season for the Bucks so far, I think that Eric Bledsoe was probably my MVP of the week. Over the last 5 games, starting with the Cleveland game and ending last night with the comeback win over the T-Wolves, since that 5-game stretch, he's averaged 22.8 points per game on 54% shooting. Really can't complain with what he's done. His impact is felt a lot everywhere on the court, really. He's strong, and he's actually a little bit better of a three-point shooter than I thought he was. So, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on all fronts there. He looked excellent in the game last night against Minnesota, helped propel the Bucks to a win. My MVP, I was very close to just putting no one because of how poorly the Bucks played, but I ended up settling for Malcolm Brogdon. In his sort of murky role, although he is the best player coming off the Bucks bench, arguably he should be starting, but Jason Kidd is going to do Jason Kidd's things. But in the last 5 games, he's averaging 14.2 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. And like I said, his role is pretty murky. It looked like he was in the doghouse yesterday against the Timberwolves, but he was instrumental in helping fuel the Bucks' comeback win. They were down 20, as we know, to the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. Brogdon finished with 13 points, and he was a team-high plus 20. So it was a very impressive outing for Malcolm Brogdon for sure. And I think that'll a nice segue into our next topic. What do you think is the biggest need for the Milwaukee Bucks right now?
I think a player, if you're talking a player, I think they need a better fitting guard. Jason Kidd talked about it in his post-game conference last night. I mean, they have 12 guards and 2 bigs if you really look at their roster. So not just saying that they need a center is probably what you would mostly think, but I just think they need a guard that fits better, because a lot of the times on defense you'll see not really many problems defensively with the Bucks, but it's when they go on the offensive end and the isolation game starts to take over, and that's really where they start causing problems. So someone that can space the floor better. Chris Middleton has maybe been the most inconsistent Buck all year, and it continued yesterday. I believe he only had 14 last night, and I think just a more consistent guy out on the wing. But you're going to have to give something up to get something good. So I don't know how realistic that is, but I think just riding their own ship. I mean, you play to your opponent. That's the Bucks. I've talked to many people about that, and that's what all of them have noticed. They play to their opponent every single night. They play to the Bulls level. They play to the Cavs level. They play to the T-Wolves level. And it's what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, we share similar opinions on that. They definitely do struggle with consistency, and like you said, they definitely do either play up to their competition or down to the competition. Like they had that clunker, whatever you want to call it, against the Chicago Bulls and the Hornets. Although Giannis didn't play, you should be able to beat those teams, without any struggle. But like you said, the Bucks are going to have to give up assets for whether it be a center or a shooter. And the Athletic had a report that the Bucks inquired with the Warriors on Jordan Bell, and as you would imagine, that was shot down pretty quick, although it is a nice pipe dream to imagine Jordan Bell on this team. And they were also looking at the Warriors centers Zaza Pachulia and JaVale McGee. I kind of like the idea of Zaza Pachulia being back in Milwaukee. He had that short stint with the Milwaukee Bucks. I believe it was in 2014 when Jason Kidd first took over. And, he was a great vet to have. He was a great locker room guy, and the, team loved him. And I'm pretty sure it's the same thing going on in Golden State. They love him over there. And I want the Bucks to just stay away on all fronts of JaVale McGee. I want absolutely nothing to do with JaVale McGee. Yeah, he is just such a head case to say the least, and I don't think he would help the Bucks in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, you're right. I think I really like Zaza. I think actually like having him in the locker room would be a big help as a veteran, and I think that actually him winning a championship last year, although albeit he was not the top player by any standard or that important to the team, but he knows what it's like and the level of consistency that the Warriors have. Granted, they're better, but that's what I'm talking about with this stuff. And in terms of JaVale McGee, I could see where people would reason with it that it's a good idea because, man, he's long and he's athletic and he can really go up and get some alley-oops, block some shots. But I read something the other day, and he's actually probably one of the worst rebounders for that position. He is not good at it. And it's just tough to see because what you'd have to give up because the Warriors are stocked up. So, and they have to shed some salary somewhere sooner or later. So maybe this will be it.
Right. And this all circles back to should the Bucks make a move for DeAndre Jordan? And again, my answer is a big fat no with 100 exclamation points following that. There's just no way that a move for DeAndre Jordan makes sense because in that aspect, you would be giving up assets. And he could walk in free agency next year. And you also have the looming contract of Jabari Parker. So you can't have one or the other. And I'm trying to stay clear of DeAndre Jordan in all forms here.
And also, it's just to be honest with you, making a drastic decision the Bledsoe decision, that trade made sense because you got Greg Monroe's contract off. You needed a point guard. That's fine with me. I'm cool with that. You get better. But taking a flyer on a one-year player like DeAndre Jordan doesn't make sense because once Jabari Parker comes back, that's when you can start making those decisions because you have to. And I think a lot of people are saying Jabari is not going to be the same with his knees, but he may not be the same athletically. But if you're talking about his impact on the court, I think that is pretty attractive to look at. And if you have a big four at that point, because Jabari's a good player. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Bucks need his ability to get to the rim and get a bucket time and time again. It's almost every game that the Bucks will get into these on the offensive end, these one-on-one ISO type situations. And this is an area where Jabari actually excels at. So with him coming back soon, I think this is that the Bucks are going to be looking up. But to me, the Bucks really need a shooter, and the Bucks don't have any shooters right now.
Yeah, Tony Snell, I think when he gets full minutes, restriction will help because he's top 20 in 3-point percentage this year. If Middleton can hit some of these shots that we are accustomed to him hitting, then that's good and well, but who knows? He had a really good last 2 years, but he was never really a highly touted rookie or young player in the league and was just kind of a throw-in the Brandon Jennings trade. So it's tough to say. A shooter's psyche is a lot of it too. But some days he'll go off for 40, and then like yesterday he'll have 14.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to your point on Tony Snell, he's a knockdown shooter. He's a sniper from deep, coming off a Giannis screen, catch and shoot where he excels in. But to me, he's not shooting enough, and I want him to shoot, and shoot. He's a great catch and shoot 3-point shooter, but to me, it just doesn't make sense why he's not hoisting it up enough. And that will segue into our next point about Jason Kidd's rotation and whether he's getting enough opportunity or not. So, what's your take on Jason Kidd's rotation, especially this last few weeks?
I think it's interesting to say the least that in last night's post-game press conference, in question about Malcolm Brogdon, as Malcolm Brogdon came in and, like you said, finished with 13 and a plus 20 in the brief time that he was in the game. Jason Kidd just kind of just goes by whatever he feels like that day, and that kind of doesn't fly with me because inexcusable loss against Utah earlier in the season, starting Gary Payton. I mean, the things that he does, albeit they're not massive decisions to just the naked eye, but if you really look at it, there's some pretty detrimental decisions going on with our lineups and rotations that maybe aren't affecting that game, but the continuity of this team in general.
Right, and the Bucks struggle with consistency, and when you don't have a lineup on a consistent basis, then you're messing with a player's psyche, which is the complete opposite of what you want. And to me, the most baffling decision is the fact that DeAndre Liggins at this point is still getting decent amount of minutes. I don't think he played last night, but he's been playing over newly signed Sean Kilpatrick from the Brooklyn Nets. He's been playing over him, and I don't understand that at all. I don't understand why Jason Kidd is so infatuated with DeAndre Liggins. I think his defense is very overrated. When he first came to Milwaukee, I thought his defense was actually pretty good, but after a week or two, you're seeing him commit all these silly fouls and overcommitting, and the fact that he can't even shoot is just, he doesn't deserve to be on the court.
You're right. And especially with the positions that he's playing in. He gets the ball in the corner and he's wide open because teams are dummying him, and what else is he supposed to do but shoot it? It's frustrating, to say the least.
Right, and the Bucks need players who are going to stretch the floor, and this was evident in the Chicago Bulls game a few days ago, that whoever was guarding DeAndre Liggins would just completely abandon him and sit in the paint waiting for Giannis or the Bucks to make a move, and that's just killing the offense. There's no fluidity, there's no movement. You're basically playing 4-on-5 at that point when Liggins is on the floor.
Right. To Jason Kidd's credit, though, I will give him that the comeback yesterday's game was rather impressive. They did not play a good first couple quarters, but they did come back, and I can't deny that. Should they have been in that situation in the first place? No. Did the T-Wolves kind of just run out of gas at the end? Probably. But nevertheless, they did come back in a very important win, because if you would have lost that game 20+, that's not what you want.
Right. You're looking at having a totally different discussion today. And like you said, I will give Jason Kidd some credit. Yesterday in the first quarter, I believe there were 2 minutes in the game, John Henson and Tony Snell blew a defensive assignment on Jimmy Butler, and Jason Kidd quickly went to the bench and yanked him. And the same thing happened with Giannis Antetokounmpo very early in the third quarter. He took him out with a blown defensive assignment in favor of Malcolm Brogdon. So I do like the fact that he held the players accountable yesterday and had a short leash, with the blown defensive assignment. So I do like that aspect of what Jason Kidd did yesterday.
Well, just like you just said, accountability. And it's something that, is very redundant, and it's something that we've touched on a few times. But holding players accountable is very key. Like, we're not that young of a team. I understand Jason Terry really kind of skews that for us, but
right,
holding players accountable, even if they're your superstars, that's where you learn. If you let Giannis go back out there after making a blown assignment, does he learn? He'll just keep doing the same thing. Well, those guys you said got taken out learned? No. You take them out, they'll learn. That's what it's about. If they want to play, they got to do it correctly. And, I'm a coach myself. Tough love sometimes works the best rather than coddling the players.
Yeah, definitely. And after the game, Giannis, Snell, and Henson were asked about whether, they were in favor of the decision to, have the short leash. And they liked it. Like you said, accountability, that's the most important thing. You have to hold your players accountable, or else, then it's just a free-for-all, and it's what we've seen up to this point in the season.
And they finished the game good. 27-12 in the fourth quarter, won the game for them. Was on a 10-0 run at a certain point. The Bucks are a good team when they want to be a good team. It's that simple. And they have to want to be a good team all the time.
I agree. They have to have that killer mentality. And, like Jason Kidd says, Energy and effort, right? I don't think we've heard that more than twice this season, huh?
No.
Oh man, it's like beating a dead drum. Oh my god, like a broken record at this point. But that'll segue
Honestly,
into that.
your energy and effort, I hate it. He says it, it's a cop out answer. But I will say, some nights it is. It is energy and effort. I
Yeah,
I might be reaching out there, but like against the Bulls at home, that is energy and effort. There was no accountability on the defensive rebounding. Robin Lopez is a buck killer.
he shouldn't be. It's Robin Lopez. No disrespect to Robin Lopez. I actually like him, but there's no reason why he should be killing the Bucks. Oh, and don't even get me started on Nikola Mirotic, please. Oh no, I can go on for days about how much I don't like him.
Right.
But like you said, energy and effort. Yesterday in the first half of the Timberwolves game, I think there was definitely a lack of energy and effort. The Bucks had a lot of ugly, unforced turnovers, which is why they were down 20 at one point. But, credit to them. They picked it up in the fourth quarter and got an important win. Now I want to ask you, is it time for a coaching shakeup in Milwaukee? Change of culture?
The $1 million question. The Fire Kid bandwagon is riding high right now. A lot of poor decisions, a lot of questionable rotations. I mean, it really depends. It depends how they finish the season. As of right now, I would say yes. Second off, my question would be if they do fire him is, well, who's next?
Right. And that's the other $1 million question. Is the Bucks really, they don't benefit if they fire Kid midseason. There's no reason for that. But I do think it's time for the Bucks to have a culture change.
Yeah.
It's been 3.5 years into Jason Kidd's tenure. And aside from the first year, which was a complete honeymoon phase with how the Bucks were defending, the Bucks, their trajectory is just, pointing down.
Right.
It's pretty bad, actually. If you look at their metrics and stuff, especially on the defensive end, the Bucks don't have any problems on the offensive end. It's the defensive end, and his lack of, ability to adapt has really hurt the Bucks team.
You're right.
In my opinion.
You're right, but it's tough. Those players on the team, all they've had was Jason Kidd. But I saw a tweet yesterday that I thought was interesting. A lot of people talk about the development of Giannis and stuff like that, but has Jason Kidd helped the young players? Let's take a look at the last four first-round picks. Who you got? DJ Wilson, Thon Maker, Rashard Vaughn, and Jabari, right?
Well, aside from Jabari, who was coming out from Duke, was already a bona fide superstar, those other 3 draft picks, just a complete and utter failure. And Jason Kidd had a lot to do with influencing those 3 draft picks. I think Jabari Parker was already a shoo-in to be drafted by the Bucks at that point. But you look at the Rashad Vaughn, DJ Wilson, Thon Maker pick; those were all influenced by Jason Kidd, and he had a lot to say in that Rashad Vaughn draft pick. And Rashad Vaughn, he's done. He's done in Milwaukee. He's absolutely done.
Well, my question to you is that what kind of players were those players coming out of college? They're developmental pieces.
Right.
So to do that, you either have to have really good individual developmental coaches for the players, which I'm not sure who those are for the Bucks, but I mean, they've done well with Giannis, so maybe they get a pass into this. But it's the head coach. It's Jason Kidd's staff. And if Rashard Vaughn doesn't have the confidence to get in there, if Thon Maker – I was looking at a high school video of Thon Maker, and I've never seen it. I don't know if you've seen it, the highlight tape. I mean, the dude's crossing people over, dunking on people, and you don't see that.
Man amongst boys, for sure. His high school highlights are a thing of beauty. Oh, my goodness. His hoop mixtape video is beautiful.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You don't see that today. You don't see that confidence. And I understand it's different. It's the NBA, but man, he looks like a lost puppy out there. Rashard Vaughn is open for a three in the corner, the shot that he's made his entire life, and it's like he's never touched a basketball before. It's about confidence. And yeah, sometimes it sucks. You got to play the young guys to get them confidence. But man, if you have a full bench then at that point, then you'll be talking. And it goes back to the rotations, playing the young kids. I see so much benefit in it. Like, we're not going to win the finals this year. I'm sorry. We can win a playoff series. And I think that's what Kidd is doing because he knows he has to win a playoff series to keep his job. But if you're talking longevity, Sterling Brown and TJ Wilson and Thon Maker need to be playing more.
Right. I agree.
Even if we're taking losses.
Right. You know, DJ Wilson looks like he struggled, but, you know, he just looks like a rookie out there. But to answer your question, I don't really think Jason Kidd deserves a lot of credit for individual talent. I think the development of Giannis is a lot to do with himself and his dedication to stay in the gym after hours. He posted an Instagram live video, I believe it was either on Christmas Eve or Christmas. You know, he's in the gym by himself getting shots up. So, you know, I think it's his determination to take himself to the next level. So I think I don't really think Jason Kidd gets credit for that one right there. I think that's more of Giannis doing it by himself.
Right. And
but that also speaks to how great Giannis is and his work ethic.
And he's a literal freak of nature.
You know, the Bucks have the most transcendent basketball player to ever grace a basketball court since LeBron James. So they better do something with it before, you know, we're talking 2-3 years down the line where he could potentially, you know, go somewhere else. I don't think that's too far-fetched of a, you know, thought, because if you look at it, if the Bucks haven't done anything significant in 2 or 3 years, then I wouldn't blame him for wanting to leave.
Right. I mean, he came here in the city that took a chance on him, but he's a competitor. He wants to win.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see. But, you know, the whole own the future thing, it's kind of paralleled by trading for Eric Bledsoe. You know, I do like that move a lot. But if you're coining the slogan own the future when you're making moves as in a win now mode, it's kind of, you know, contradictory.
The future is now, and I don't think the Bucks assume that and another thing going into that is I didn't think the Bucks think it was going to be this quick. A lot of these moves that they've made have been set. They're not set up for them to win now. A lot of these draft picks, because if you go most ready in the draft picks you've taken, you don't take all these potential guys. You take guys that can help you win right now. But Giannis is ready to go right now. So I hope we can get them all ready before then.
Cross your fingers, man. So do you want to give the audience the Shepherd Express Milwaukee Minute of the week?
Yeah, for sure. I just want to say thanks again to our partners over at Shepherd Express Milwaukee Minute. On the New Year's Eve this year, as always, the Harlem Globetrotters will be in Milwaukee at 1 and 6 p.m. This is going to be their last time being in the BMO Harris Bradley Center. As we all know, the new stadium will be prepared and the BMO Harris Bradley Center will be demolished. So if you want to see the Harlem Globetrotters, a great show for the last time at the Bradley Center, 1 and 6 p.m. on New Year's Eve. You can go to Ticketmaster and search for Harlem Globetrotters and find it right there.
I remember when I was younger watching the Harlem Globetrotters at the Staples Center. Man, they are a treat to watch, to say the least. They're fun. Have you ever watched them?
Yes, I have. I went to one of the New Year's shows, and it's really fun. So you can bring your kids, you can bring your family, nieces, nephews, all that stuff, and they'll have a great time and be in downtown Milwaukee, which is a good time to be around the holidays.
Right. So before we sign off, we wanted to talk about the Bucks' next 7 games, starting with tonight at Oklahoma City. And by the way, Paul George will not be playing. He just got a Bleacher Report team stream update that he's out with a sore left knee. Okay. So the Bucks kind of catch a little bit of a break there. But still, very tough game dealing with Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, and Steven Adams for sure. And then on New Year's, the Bucks travel to Toronto, rematch from their playoff series with the Toronto Raptors, arguably one of the hottest.
Is this the first Raptors game this year?
Yes, it is. So that should be one to watch.
That'll be a good benchmark game.
Raptors arguably the hottest team in the East right now. Then they'll Then they'll come back home and face the Indiana Pacers, who many thought would, be tanking, but pretty opposite there with the play of point guard Victor Oladipo playing like an all-star. So that's no shoo-in. And then the Bucks host the Toronto Raptors after that. And then they will travel to Washington to face the Wizards, another very tough game for the Bucks. Then they travel to the Bankers Life Fieldhouse and play the Pacers again. And finally, their last game is against the Orlando Magic. So those are 7 tough games. Even the Orlando Magic, that's a tough team right there.
Oh yeah, they're pretty injury depleted, but you never know. Vucevic, Alfred Payton, Aaron Gordon's hitting threes this year. I mean, it'll be interesting. You try to look at the optimism. I mean, if they can steal one of the Thunder, man, all the road games are really tough. Thunder, Raptors, Wizards, and Pacers. So, you hope they can win. At least they could split those, but we'll have to see on that.
I think this is the most difficult stretch of the Milwaukee Bucks schedule. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. Because then after that Magic game, you're hosting the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
So we could be looking at a completely different Bucks team, either very good or not so good, because this can go one or two ways.
You're right.
Looking at the schedule.
These next 7 games will be very telling about what this team is and what they think.
Because, good teams win on the road. So we'll see what the Bucks are made of.
Very true.
All right, so I think that's going to do it for us today. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew_Goodman3. And Dylan, you want to shout out your Twitter?
Yep, you can follow me at DylanPiccolo35, and then all of our stuff on Cream City Central.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back again soon.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.